story has to do with an insurance company that targeted HIV patients and cut them off in terms of coverage because they were diagnosed with HIV. Okay? Talking Points memo covered this story, and it's a really, really great article, and they profile a 17-year-old boy by the name of Jerome Mitchell. Jerome Mitchell got health care insurance right before he went to college, and after he already had the health care, he got diagnosed with HIV. So he was relieved at the fact that he had health insurance. He didn't have to worry about the whole pre-existing condition thing. But the company that he was insured by, named Fortis, decided that they're going to drop him anyway. They cut him off, all right? The way they cut him off is so dirty, it's unbelievable. First of all, Fortis had a company policy of targeting policyholders with HIV. They had a computer program that targeted every policyholder recently diagnosed with HIV. And what they did is they would have like this automatic fraud investigation, right? So they would look for any type of information that could allow them to cancel the coverage, all right? So in Mitchell's case, they tried to make it seem as though he was diagnosed with HIV prior to getting the health insurance, right? Which was not the case. They found some nurse's letter that indicated that he was diagnosed on a very unclear date, but then they had another letter that was from the doctor who diagnosed him, and it indicated that he was diagnosed after he had the health care insurance. Okay, so it's just such a disgusting thing because you realize that these private insurance companies are out there to make a profit.
But this guy sued.
This guy did sue. I was going to get to that. He did sue and he won, which is what's interesting about this story.
But the hubris of the insurance company continued because they ignored the letters from the attorneys who said what you're doing is illegal.
Right.
And you need to provide us with documentation of this and how you came to this decision. And they ignored him.
They ignored him for a long time until finally they couldn't ignore him any longer. Right, and it turned into a big settlement. He got I think it was a $10 million settlement.
In the end, it was $10 million.
Yes, in the end, it was $10 million. Originally, he was going to be awarded $15 million, but I think the insurance company appealed, and then the judge lowered it to $10 million. But look, this is a situation that's not surprising to me in any way, shape, or form. We've been hearing about private insurance companies doing this for a very long time and getting away with it. Okay, I'm happy that Jerome Mitchell was able to get some sort of justice in the end. And of course, they reinstated his insurance and he's covered now. But this is the type of thing that healthcare reform needs to target.
Well, isn't this covered in the Senate bill that passed and in reconciliation that will or won't pass Saturday or Sunday?
Yes.
Isn't this exactly one of the abuses that it targets?
Yes, and which is one of the reasons why, even though this so-called reform is watered down and it's not great and I'm not happy about it, there are certain good things that come from it. And of course, that thing that I'm talking about is health insurance companies will no longer be allowed to reject people based on pre-existing conditions.
So in the end, in the end, at the final chapter of this healthcare reform battle, we should probably rename the legislation the Pre-Existing Condition Act of 2010.
Okay.
Right? Because isn't this the one thing that we keep coming back to as the real leap forward in quote-unquote healthcare reform, is that insurance companies cannot reject claims that were, offered up by someone with a quote-unquote pre-existing condition. What if we had just reformed that slice of it? Because in this process, everything good about healthcare reform has been maligned, right?
Yes.
And deemed extremist and un-American.
Right.
And now we were talking about mandated coverage is going to create this lawful sort of demand that everybody get health care, right? And give money to insurance companies. So I mean, we all keep coming back to the pre-existing condition reform. And that's what this bill is, or should just be that, and fight the healthcare reform battle later so that it can actually have an impact, that people can get access to care who need it, and that the costs are being contained. right?
Yeah.
Isn't that where the real reform will come from?
I don't know if that's where the real reform will come from. I think that's what a lot of politicians are hoping right now. A lot of Democrats in Congress are hoping that this is just a stepping stone, and in the future we're going to expand on this, and in the future we're going to find a way to make healthcare more affordable for everyone. But for the time being, people who can afford the expensive healthcare but just haven't been able to get it because they have a pre-existing condition will look forward to this bill, because
I think in the end, if you're healthy and you have insurance, those people will still look at people who get terminal illnesses based on some genetic condition that cause, they'll basically just be saying tough shit.
Oh yeah.
And when we haven't changed that fundamental part of healthcare, which is if you're healthy, great. If you're not, too bad.
Right, but how do we change that? Like that comes from people's ideas. That comes from
you change that by making sure that everybody gets access to care. And if you want to call that socialized medicine, great, fine, call it that.
I know, I'm all for that, but unfortunately
I think you are, and I'm arguing against you for some reason, and I think we're on the same side.
No, we are on the same side. I'm completely for that. I'm completely for the public option, and I'm upset at the fact, look, I hate the idea of the federal mandate. That's what angers me the most about this bill. I don't think that there should be a federal mandate, okay? The only way that a federal mandate is allowable, in my opinion, is if there is a public option, because the whole problem is people can't afford the health insurance.
Have you seen all the TYT videos from today? Check out the Young Turks YouTube channel. Do it already.